All right. Good morning and good afternoon. So I'm saying that that is because I really don't know what time of the day you will be viewing this video for my pre-recorded discussion. So anyway, let me start. So this is an introduction to globalization for our first topic. Okay. Okay. Here we have the contemporary world. When we say contemporary, happening the same time in the same time period. Okay, that is contemporary. And world means human society. Okay, so if we're going to combine contemporary world, that will be the current happenings in human society. So technically, most of our topics we are going to talk about current events. Okay, but the question is, how do we insert globalization in our subject contemporary world? No, where na you globalization? And so, for a brief introduction, human beings have encountered many changes over the last century, especially in their social relationship and social structures. I think that we can say that our society, the society that we have now, is completely different from the society that they have that the Philippines had before. Okay, so the reality and omnipresence of globalization makes us see ourselves as part of what we refer as the global age. Okay, so before, the idea of a certain, say for example, political idea, or it could be a cultural, or it could be a certain brand, produced locally. Somehow, the target was to make it known nationwide. Okay, but at the present, no, at this um, at this age, the goal has changed already. Meaning to say, the goal is not to, a certain idea should not be known nationwide, but internationally. Okay, so let us go deeper as to the meaning of what is globalization. Now, in defining globalization, there are many scholars gave and tried to formulate its definition. Okay, it is because globalization encompasses a multitude of process that involves the economy, political systems, and culture. Okay, so globalization is omnipresent, meaning it is present at all time. No, it cannot be absent at a certain era. Okay, globalization is continuously happening even at this very moment. Okay, from past, future, and now the contemporary world. So, say for example, there are multitude or a great number of globalization examples that we can cite. Our economy, no, systems which goods and services are produced, sold, and bought in a country or region, or political or government or a certain culture. When we say economy, there is this certain globalization in certain brands. Like say, for example, Apple. I think you all know Apple, as they are producing high quality iPhones, of which Filipinos really patronize their products. No, I think well, to be perfectly honest, a lot of Filipinos patronize Apple products, compared to our locally produced mobile phones such as Cherry Mobile and the like. No, and globalization as well has gained many connotations pertaining to the progress, development, and integration. So Thomas Larsson, a Swedish journalist, he said that the process of world shrinkage, distance getting shorter, things moving closer, to mutual benefit with somebody on the other side of the world. Okay, that is how he defined globalization. And Martin Coor also regarded globalization as colonization. Okay, um, let us try to define first what is colonization. Colonization is a certain country trying to colonize a smaller country. That's what happened to us when the Spaniards colonized the Philippines. They are trying to influence us with their culture, with their religion, with their political system. No, so meaning to say they are trying to rule a certain country or trying to influence a certain country. And Martin Coor again regarded globalization is colonization, okay, in the modern world. Okay. Now, in defining globalization, of course, it is important no, that others may saw globalization as a positive phenomenon because that is indeed true. No, globalization helped a lot of economies, especially those of the poor, part of the poor countries or marginalized countries, where they rely so much on globalization. So say, for example, posting their tourist spots. No, I think that is one of the what do you call this strategy of the Philippines to attract more income. I mean to attract more foreigners and produce more income through tourism. Okay, so we rely so much on globalization. So how do we globalize our tourist spots? Of course, by advertising. I think you are all familiar with the singer Quinto atong hisang piliin mo ang Pilipinas something kapuluan kwentas ng perlas, no, that kind of lyrics was one of the strategies of the government to attract more tourists, to globalize our tourist spots, and so that we can have more income when it comes to our tourism. Okay, so clearly there is really a positive impact of globalization. Okay, again, it can benefit us, no? Most especially the poor countries. Okay. So on the other hand, rather, some see it as occurring through and with regression, colonialism, and destabilization. Why? Well, that is because of a certain idea that again, if you are going to influence a certain country, their culture will not be given much of importance. Say, for example, us here in the Philippines, before, if you think of a merienda, of course, the first thing that comes into mind would be ice candy. What else? Buko pie, biko, puto, bibingka, mga kakanin, no, kumbaga. And with that, no, at the present time, if you think of a merienda, here comes milk tea, burger, pizza, which is not really from a Filipino, culture thing. So technically, it brings destabilization about our culture. Okay, and also it is again um, called as of the modern world as modern colonialism. Okay, so it brings destabilization as other people see it. Okay, so in defining globalization as well, the literature and definition of globalization revealed that the definition could be classified as either broad and inclusive or narrow and exclusive. Okay. Let us go first with broad and inclusive. Okay, broad and inclusive globalization means the onset of the borderless world. Okay, meaning to say because of the media we became a borderless world. Okay, If you have a certain brand, you are starting your business, you're just starting your business. Because of the media, you can already, or you can easily globalize your products and make it known to the world. Okay. Okay, another example of broad and inclusive definition of globalization, if one uses such, it can include a variety of issues but that deal with overcoming traditional boundaries. No? However, it does not shed light on the implication of globalization due to vagueness. Okay? So that is from Omei 1992. Okay, now let us go with a narrow and exclusive. The characteristics of the globalization trend include the internationalizing of production, the new international division of labor, new migratory movements from south to north, the new competitive environment that accelerates these processes. Okay, and the internationalizing of the state, making state into agencies of globalizing world. Okay, so they are better justified but can be limiting. Okay, the sense that their application adhere only a particular definitions. Okay, so that is from Robert Cox. So no matter how one classifies a definition of globalization, the concept is complex and multifaceted as the deal with either economic, political, or social dimensions. Even others tried to look what is similar in the definition by scholars, while some claim that it is a useless task because again of how multifaceted globalization is. So why are we going to spend time studying globalization then? Okay, or this concept. One sees a globalization as positive while other it is negatively treated. So why there is so much importance in studying globalization. Okay, so the perspective of the person who defines globalization shapes its definition, meaning to say it is relative or it really based or what do you call this? When you say relative, um, it depends on the person of how he see or perceives globalization, whether it is negative or positive. It is a starting point that will guide the rest of any discussion. Okay? And how can we appreciate these definitions? Globalization is the debate, and the debate is globalization. One become part and parcel of another. Okay? So how can this help us understand globalization? Globalization is a reality. The future of globalization is more difficult to predict because its fluidity and complexity which made more debates, discussions, and definition than agreements to it. No, it is changing as human society develops. Okay, it has happened before and still happening today, so we should expect it to continue to happen in the future. Okay, so globalization is a reconstruction. Okay, so from the notion that what is good today may not be good for tomorrow, or what is morally right today may not be morally right tomorrow or in the future. Okay, so that. So we are going to talk about metaphors of globalization. Metaphors makes use of one term to help us better understand another term. Okay, that is a metaphor. So we have solid and liquid. Please excuse the roosters and the background noises. Okay, I think it's already 12 a.m. So that's why it's too early for them to sound like that. I'm sorry for the background. Okay, now for the okay, there you go. Solidity, okay? Solidity refers to barriers that prevent or make difficult the movement of things, okay? So it can either be natural, for example, landforms and bodies of water, man-made, like for example, Great Wall of China, the Berlin Wall, and the Nine Dash Line. Okay, so technically, it is solid. You cannot ship Great Wall of China to the Philippines. No, you cannot do that. You can only take photographs of it, but you cannot really bring the Great Wall of China to the Philippines. Okay, an imaginary line used by China in their claim to the South China Sea. No, and if you're going to ask me what is a nine dash line, it is an imaginary line used by China in their claim to the South China Sea, and this creates limited access of Filipino fishers to the South China Sea. However, they have a tendency to melt. Okay, so with this, I think it is one of the issues that we are facing now because of our rightful claim to that certain island, Spratly Island. Okay, although China is trying to build some infrastructures there, clearly we have won a tribunal. So supposedly China should honor that one, but they are still insisting it's theirs, no? And well, it's a long story. Okay. Okay. And let's proceed now with liquidity. Okay. Liquidity refers to the increasing ease of movement of people, things, information, and places in the contemporary world. Okay. So say, for example, changes in stock market are a matter of seconds. Okay. Videos uploaded are unstoppable once they become viral. No, it can create a lot of copies, no, so you cannot really stop it because of its liquidity. Okay, or how fast the information changes. Okay, so liquidity of time and space is a crucial element of globalization. Okay, so that's why we also call that as flow. No, flow, just like a liquid, it flows. Flows are the movement of people, things, places, and information brought by the growing porosity of global limitation. When we say porosity, it is a passable or permeable or easily pass or get through. No, that is the definition of porosity. Another examples for this one is foreign cuisines consumed by Filipinos and global financial crisis. Okay. Another example is poor illegal migrants flooding many parts of the world. No? Virtual flow of legal and illegal information or pornographic materials. And immigrants recreating ethnic enclaves in host countries. Okay, so there is a lot. Now, people, not movement of people, may it be because of a certain conflict from their country, like war from the Afghanistan. So because of the war from the Afghanistan, the Taliban terrorists claimed the control of the country. So a lot of Taliban or Afghanistan rather, Afghanistan citizens migrated into different parts of the world. So that is still a flow, no? And of course, those people who are migrating to other parts of the world brings with them their culture, not just themselves, but they are also bringing with them their culture that could also influence other people into the host country. Okay, not just people, but places, information. No, there are a lot of reasons why we have flow, no, in globalization. Okay, so now we are going to talk about heavy and light. Okay, heavy is characterized by that which is difficult to move. Okay, just like the Great Wall of China, it is difficult to move. Because of their heaviness, workers tended to stay put, and what they produce could be moved only with great effort and a great expense. So it really produces a lot of effort, such as books, crafts, um, machine, and automobile. Okay, so if you're going to ship an automobile, of course you are going to pay for a shipping fee. No, so is the book is the only heavy material that we can cite? Of course, no. The movement of a certain book, like kung usa lang ka book, it's easy. But if you are an author and if you are going to publish your book internationally, it's difficult. Okay, but instead of using books, no, you are going to use these or the ebooks. Then it's clearly more easy for you to spread of what is the content of a certain article or a certain book. Or this one, no, a computer is considered as heavy because it needs to be transferred, no, you need to pay for again, what do you call this, a shipping fee, no, and the like. Now for light are goods and people that are easier or lighter to move because of advances, especially in technology. For example, compare the netbook computer of today to the room-sized computer of the mid-20th century. Okay, imagine that one. Uh, this one, no? So if you're going to look for a certain information, of course, you're going to scan a lot of books. But right now, if you wanted to know something, you just go ahead and Google it, and then there you can already find it. Okay. And aside from that, not just on the but talking about the physical feature of a certain computer, before we have very bulky computers, no, very bulky monitors, big keyboards, big mouse, a very noisy CPU, no. But right now, I think our monitor got slimmer and slimmer. No, the ergonomics are getting better, so like that. Okay. And in researching, most of the time before in 2002, we used, 2003 to 2008, 2006, something like that. If you're going to research, we always use our computers. Now I can still remember if we have something like an assignment from school, we would ask an extra 20 pesos from our parents to pay in the internet cafe so that we can research on our assignments, right? So, but right now, because of the advances of technology, now we can research using our mobile phones. Okay, and computers, like desktop. Now we have a very what do you call this? A mobile, no, mura siya o ganang easy to carry version of a computer, which is called the laptop. Okay, so it creates really a positive impact, no. And origins and history of globalization. Okay, so there are 5 different perspectives regarding the origins of globalization. So the question is really where globalization start? Asa siya nag-start? And it's not easy to answer as well because there are different views about it. Our topic adheres to the perspective that the major points of the beginnings of globalization started after the Second World War. But again, that's one of the many ideas, okay, of where did the globalization start. Now let us try to dissect. No? So there are 5 perspectives. Okay, so these are hardwired, cycles, epoch, events, and broader, more recent changes. Excuse me. Okay, let's talk about hardwired. Hardwired, according to Nayan Chanda, globalization was made possible because of our basic human need, to make our lives better. Okay, that is the sole motivation why globalization is happening. Commerce, religion, politics, and warfare are the urges or the drive of people toward a better life. Okay, so say for example, warfare. Now let's let's have one example. Now let's use warfare. Before, China was the first one to discover about the black powder. Okay, the purpose of the black powder, that is to entertain people, to make fireworks, to make the sky colorful, basta for entertainment. Okay, but later on, they realized that the black powder could also be used as a weapon. Okay, so they made a lot of weapons, artilleries, cannons, pistols, anything of the like that uses black powder. Okay, so because of that, even though China does not intend to globalize the use of black powder, okay, because there is a need of that, no, there is a great need of that because it is really a great weapon. It could put you into great advantage if you're going to a war. So the idea of using the black powder as a weapon was still globalized. No, there were a lot of countries who were trying to steal the secrets of China of the use of the black powder. There were many were spies of China. They were willing to pay a larger amount just to discover that certain secret. Again, even without globalizing or trying to globalize the idea. That is because of a certain need, no? Kinahanglan nila makuha ang secret about the black powder because it is a need for them. No? It would make their life better. It would make the life of the soldier better. No? Less effort in going to war. All right. So that is the concept of hardwired. No? Globalization started because of our need, no? To make our lives better. Okay. And so therefore, we can trace that globalization started when our ancestors in Africa started to walk away to find better food, shelter, and the like. Okay, that's true. No, so that's why you can find black men in all parts of the world. Okay, now next is cycles. Cycles, for some, globalization is a long-term cyclical process. Thus, finding its origin will be a daunting task. When you say daunting, it's a handful. No, it's tiring because um, you will not find its tail. No, you're going around in circles. No, so that's what it means. So subscribing to this view will suggest adherence to the idea that other global ages have appeared. Okay, so what is important is the cycle that globalization has gone through. Thus, we won't know when it started and ended because globalization will soon disappear and reappear again. Okay. Say, for example, is one of the best example that I could give you is our fashion. No, fashion keeps on repeating, disappearing, and reappearing again. Okay, the use of skinny jeans, it already existed before, like the kapanahunan ni Fernando Po Jr. Skinny jeans is paired with a leather jacket and a boots, no, to like an action star outfit. But right now, in early 2004 and 2005, skinny jeans was worn by the emo kids. No, there is this certain trend that fashion will appear and disappear again. Okay, so that is cycles. For epoch, this is according to Ritzer in 2015, cited Dearborn's 2000. There are 6 great epochs of globalization. These are also called waves. Now, when you say waves, there is a strata or level, no? And each has its own origin. So the difference between epoch and cycle is that it does not treat epochs as returning. Okay? So once a certain level is done, then it cannot go back into that certain level. It should progress. No? It is called wave. That's why it should progress. So here are the 6 great epochs of globalization. Globalization of religion, no, started from the 4th and 7th century. Okay, so remember the time that the Spaniards trying to teach us with Christianity, no? So that is during that time. I think that is in 15th century. And European colonial conquest. No, they were. I think for those who did not know, no, U.S. before was colonized by the European countries. Okay, so aside from that, the intra-European wars. Of course, the Europe or the powerhouse country, no, before the U.S. and even now they're still considered as a powerhouse country. And for number 4, the heyday of European imperialism. Okay, and the post World War II period, and the other one is the post Cold War period. Okay, that's the last one for the epoch. So this the epoch believed that these 6 events help start the globalization. Okay, and so for the next one is called events. No, events or specific events are also considered as part of the 4th view in explaining the origin of globalization. If this is the case, the several points can be treated as the start of globalization. There are a lot of events starting from the Roman era, the golden age of Greece. No, starting from that, the golden age of Greece, and the Romano-Griego era, and there were a lot of conquests. No, the Vikings, the Norwegians or the pagans, no, trying to invade a lot of countries in England. So there are a lot of events that we can cite from the history that help shape globalization. Okay, so those are we called events. So lastly is broader or more recent changes. Scholars today point to these 3 notable changes as the origin of globalization that we know today. So this one. So they are as follows. Number 1, the emergence of the United States as the global power or the post-World War II. Number 2 is the emergence of a multinational corporation or the MNCs. No? And another is the demise of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. The Soviet Union were the European governing body where, it was made to conquer different parts of the world, the Soviet Union, and that the US were trying to defeat that. No? So after the US successfully defeated the Soviet Union, of course, the US became the powerhouse country and started to influence a lot of colonized country like the Philippines. And so, okay, that will be the end of our topic. Okay, so hopefully you find this video helpful in your studies. Okay, once again, good morning and good afternoon. You have a great day.